Okay. Where are they exiled? To the cities of refuge, to the three on the other side of the Jordan, and to the three on the land of Canaan. As it is said, three of the cities you shall place on the other side of the Jordan, and three of the cities you shall place in the land of Canaan. As long as the three in Eretz Israel were not yet chosen, the three on the other side of the Jordan did not afford refuge, as it is said, there shall be 6 cities of refuge until all 6 of them afford refuge simultaneously. Direct roads were laid out from one to another, and as it is said, prepare the way for yourself and divide it into 3 parts. They would appoint for them 2 Torah scholars so that they should not kill him on the way, and they would speak to him. Meir says he too should speak for himself, as it is said, this is the matter of the murderer. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda says, to begin with, both the unintentional and the intentional murderers hasten to the cities of refuge, and the court summons and brings them from there. Whoever is found by the court to be liable for the death penalty, they execute. Whoever is found not to be liable to the death penalty, they free. Whoever is found liable to exile, they return him to his place, as it is said, and the congregation are returning to the city of refuge. Excuse me. Whether the Kohen Gadol was one anointed with the anointed oil, or the one inaugurated by donning the additional vestments, or one who has stepped down from his position, his death allows the murderer to return. Rabbi Yehuda says even the death of the Kohen appointed for battle allows the murderer to return. Therefore, the mothers of the Kohanim would supply them with food and clothing so they should not pray for their sons to die. If after his sentence was passed, the Kohen Gadol died, it is not exiled. If the Kohen Gadol died before his sentence was passed, and they appointed another one in the stead, and then his sentence was passed, his return upon the death penalty of the second one.
Okay, so now this is all happening. Basically, we just learned in this Mishna, and it's a pity that we have a split of a day between the two because Zion follows exactly directly after Vav. But basically, it all depends on where the psak din comes. It doesn't depend on when the murder happened. It depends on when the psak din happens, and if that's on whoever the Kohen Gadol is, who's on watch at the time that the psak din is issued, he's the one whose death atones. So if the Kohen Gadol dies immediately after the psak din, then okay, he got lucky. If there's if the Kohen Gadol, however, who got appointed a minute before the psak din was issued, then he got to wait for that Kohen to die. What happens if there's no Kohen Gadol? And that's the first thing. Nigmar dino below Kohen Gadol. There's no Kohen Gadol on duty. So the first Kohen Gadol died, then they issued a psak din, then they appoint a new Kohen Gadol. Similarly, Ahoreg Kohen Gadol. Well, I mean, I'll just jump to the conclusion because instead of piling all these things together and holding us in suspense, we'll just jump to the end. Eno Yotzei Misham Le'olam. He stays in the Ir Miklat forever. He has no way out. Which means, of course, that if you have a Beis Din that's judging a case,
Right.
and they know that there's no Kohen Gadol, it would probably be nice of them to wait until there's a Kohen Gadol before they issue the psak din.
Right.
Okay, but added into this category of people who have no way out, who cannot, who can never leave the Ir Miklat, is somebody who actually killed the Kohen Gadol. So if he accidentally killed the Kohen Gadol, then there's then even if a new Kohen Gadol gets appointed in his stead, then that's actually a unique case where he's not going to get the kapara. But Kohen Gadol sheharag, and also a Kohen Gadol himself who committed a crime. That's a little more logically obvious because if he is the Kohen Gadol, and now he's sentenced to exile, then the only kapara he's got is if he himself dies. Okay. And he has no heter for anything to leave this, not for Eidos Mitzvah, even if he's got to come and give Eidos about the Rosh Chodesh, Lord Eidos Mammon, not if he needs to testify in a different city's Beis Din about somebody owing somebody else money. Lord Eidos Nefashos, in order to testify that somebody else is chayav misa or not misa, whatever, it doesn't matter. There's no heter. Afilu Yisrael tzrichim lo, even if he is like a public figure who's desperately needed by the nation. Afilu sar tzavai Yisrael ke Yoav ben Tzeruya. You're talking about somebody like the enemy is invading and we need him to leave. But, if he leaves, he's still going to place himself at the mercy of the Goy Ladam, and somebody else will take his place. Okay, Eno yotzeh misham leolam. He cannot leave the Ir Miklat shenemar asher nas shama. Okay, so there's an extra word in there. Why nas shama is the I think shama is an extra word over here, which means that sham tehei diraso, that's where he's going to live. Sham tehei mitzaso, that's where he's going to die. Sham tehei kavuraso, even his burial has to happen inside the Ir Miklat. Okay, so he doesn't even get buried in his ancestral burial plot. Let's just see. Was this a commentary? But one of the things that they point out is that even if he gets buried in the cemetery of the Ir Miklat, what happens if the Kohen Gadol subsequently dies? Then his family can go and gather his bones and rebury them in his ancestral plot, because once the Kohen Gadol has died, even after the murderer's death. Yeah. Okay. Keshem sha'ir koletes kach techuma kolet. So it's not just the city, the buildings that accept the murderer. If he's inside the tchum, right, that's the area outside. It's 2,000 amas outside the city. That also accepts and protects him. If he went outside the tchum, if the blood avenger finds him outside the city, Rabbi Yossi Aglili Omer mitzvah biad goel adam. He says it would be a good thing for the goel adam to kill him. Rishus biad kol adam, and anyone else has permission to kill him.
It says, it doesn't say that it's a good thing. It's an obligation.
Yes, obligation, good thing, whatever.
Sounds like just you really should.
Okay, it's an obligation. Yeah, he must kill him. You're right. It's more clear the way you said it. It's an obligation. Rabbi Akiva Me'enad, Rishus biad goel adam. It's just that the goel adam has permission to kill him if he wants to. The chol adam ein chayavin alav. But anyone else who kills him, there's no chiyuv for him. Why? Because this is the thing. He killed unintentionally, and if anyone else should kill him unintentionally, then they would be part of it. It would be kind of all square. Okay. Ilan shehu omed b'sochat tchum. If there's a tree that's planted right on the edge of the 2,000 amas, and it's got a canopy that projects beyond the tchum. So part of the canopy is in the tchum, part of the canopy is outside the tchum. And it doesn't matter where the trunk is. It doesn't matter whether the roots are actually inside the tchum or not. If any part of the canopy is overhanging the 2,000 amma limit, then the canopy basically includes everything into the area that the goel adam is allowed to go. So if he wants to go for a nice long stroll, and this tree is on the edge of the tchum, and then he can go a little bit further and sit under the tree and enjoy the shade over there, and still be safe from the goel adam.
There's a nice commentary on this obligation to kill. It says the Torah, when referring to the murderer, states "ein lo dam." He is without blood. This expression indicates that no one is liable for killing him. They are, however, forbidden to do so. On the other hand, once he leaves the refuge, the goel adam is granted permission by the Torah to kill him if he's so inclined. Tos Yom Tov asks why one is not liable for killing if it is forbidden to kill him. He explains that since the goel adam has the option to kill him, he is already considered a dead man, designated by the Torah as ein lo dam, without blood. Therefore, others are also exempt from killing him, even though they are forbidden. The halakha is accordance with Rabbi Akiva. However, this is only if the murderer leaves the city intentionally. Should he leave unintentionally, whoever kills him himself is liable to execution. The reason is that the crime of leaving the city of refuge should not be judged more severely than the actual murder, just as one is executed only for the intentional murder and is exiled for an inadvertent one. So too, for leaving the refuge city intentionally, he may be put to death, while for leaving accidentally, he should be exiled. The Rambam understands the Gemara's conclusion to be that if the murderer leaves the city accidentally, whoever kills him is liable only to exile, and only if someone should kill him within the city's boundaries, himself liable to execution, and that's shared by the Miri.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. Thank you very much. Okay. Now the Goyal Adam is sitting inside his city, inside the Ir Miklat. Harag be'oso ha'ir, and while he's there, he does it again. He accidentally killed somebody, and he gets sentenced to another galus. Gole mishchuna l'shchuna. Now he has to go from one neighborhood to another. So wherever he was, he has to go to a different part of the city. So they can't send him out of that city because he's already from the first one. He's asked to leave that city. So now he has to just move to another part of the city. Ben Levi. What happens if you have a Ben Levi who's living in his Levite city, and he kills accidentally? Gole me'ir le'ir. He can't stay in his city. Right, because the reason why the regular Israel who's in an Ir Miklat cannot leave, because he's already been sentenced, he's not allowed to leave. A Levi, however, is allowed to leave his city. And once he's been sentenced to Galus, he must leave his current city and find another Ir Miklat to stay in. Okay. Mishna Ches. So interesting that there are two words here in parentheses at the beginning of the Mishnah because it's a copy of the Mishnah in Shvius, which in context in Shvius it made sense to include Kiyotzebo because it was referring to the previous Mishnah in Shvius, but that's not going to be relevant over here. So let's just read it without the parentheses. So an unintentional killer was exiled to a city of refuge. So the people saw, hey, there's a new guy in Shul, let's give him an aliyah. He must tell them, there's a reason why I'm here. And he said, look, so don't, if you think it's because I'm like an honored guest, it's not. I'm here because it's my punishment. Amrulo, I say, no, we're nice people. We will still want to give you an aliyah. Then he's allowed to accept the kabod. Shenemar b'zeh davar haratzech, because it says davar haratzech, the davar is the thing that he's going to say. So if he's going to say, he at least has to inform them that he's a ratzech before they give him a kabod, and if they still want it, that's fine. Ma'alim hayu sacha laviyim. They had to pay rent to the Leviyim if they were in a Levite city. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So that says Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir Omer lo hayu ma'alim lahem sachar. Says no. Rabbi Meir says there's no difference in that respect with the Levite city or the Ir Miklat. Will you say anything else? Okay, but the halacha follows Rabbi Yehuda that they did have to pay rent if they took refuge in a Levite city. The chozer lisrara shehayabo. So now let's say the Kohen Gadol dies and he's free to go. He may be reappointed to his original position. Divrei Rabbi Meir, says Rabbi Meir, he can go back. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Omer lo haya chozer lisrara shehayabo. We hold it against him. We do hold it against him. He was a killer and he doesn't get back into his position. He can go back to his land, but he can't go back to his original position necessarily because it's a stain on his record, and the halach again follows Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, Perek Gimel. We now move on to the subject of Makkos. Okay, and this kind of also follows on what we were learning in Sanhedrin. We had all the different offenses that cause a death penalty. Here are all the offenses that give a person lashes. It's kind of in parallel to the Mishnah in Sanhedrin, where we said these are the offenses that a person gets chenek for, for sexual offenses. Okay, so these are the ones that you just get lashes for. Okay, and there were a couple of sexual offenses that ended in streifa. If you recall, there was the Bas Kohen gets streifa, and the Baal al Isha, the mother and daughter, basically. Okay, Elohein Halokin. So here are the ones who get lashed. Baal Achoso, if he has relations with his sister. Al Achos Aviv, or his aunt, or Achos Imo, Al Achos Ishto, or his mother's sister. Sorry, was it Achos? Oh, his wife's sister. Beg your pardon. Al Eshes Achiv, or his his brother's wife, obviously after the marriage has been terminated, otherwise she's an Ashes and they get Chenek. Well, Ashes Achi Aviv, or his uncle's wife, again after death or divorce. Va'al Hanida, also with a Nida. Okay, so all of these relationships, the way I remember it, well, the difference between when you get sentenced to death and when you get sentenced to Makkos, is that if it's a sideways relationship, like a sister or a brother's wife or an uncle's wife, so that I consider like a sideways relationship, that gets Makkos. Okay, when it's a vertical relationship, like a daughter-in-law, and a or mother or mother-in-law or things like that. So that's called that I see as like a vertical relationship, and that is punishable with the death penalty. Whereas the sideways ones are not are just makkos. Alman la Kohen Gadol. Furthermore, a widow to the Kohen Gadol, Grusha v'chalutza la Kohen Hediot, a divorcee. And interestingly, that they mentioned the chalutza over here for lashes, because the chalutza is actually a derabanan. Okay, but they always mention grusha and chalutza to Kohen Hediot as a category of people that the Kohen Hediot is not allowed to marry. But it's going to turn out that if he gets lashes for it, it's going to be makas mardos. It's going to be rabbinic lashes, not Torah lashes. We'll see that later in the Mishnah. Mamzeres or Nasina Israel, a Jew who marries a mamzeres or a Nasina, or by Bas Yisrael a Nasin or a mamzer, or similarly a Jewish woman who marries a Nasin or a mamzer. All of those get lashes. Now, what happens if you have two coming at once? Almana ugrusha. You have a woman who's both a widow and a divorcee, and the Kohen Gadol marries her. Chayvin alea mishum shnei shemos. He is chayav on her for two reasons. Okay, and he would get malchus twice. Grusha v'chalutza. What happens if a woman is divorced and a chalutza, and the Kohen marries her? He only gets one set of lashes because as I just said, chalutza is a derabanan. So once we're already lashing him once for a doraisa, we don't add the lashes derabanan on top of that. Okay, and wow, okay, we're running late. Let's see how many we can do.
Okay.
Sanhedrin.
Yud A. You shall surely smite, etc. A donkey train, a camel caravan which passes from place to place, saves it, destroy it, and all that is in it. From here they derive that the possessions of the righteous which are in it are forfeit, while those which are outside in it are saved, and those of the wicked, whether within or without, are forfeit. As it is stated, in all the spoils you shall gather into its plaza, and if it has no plaza, then make a plaza outside, and they bring it in. If you burn the town and it spoils completely to Hashem your God, it spoils not the spoils of heaven. From here they derive that the Hegdish objects in its are redeemed, the Trumas are left to rot, and the Maisa Sheni of the Holy Scriptures must be burned completely to Hashem your God, says Reb Shimon. The Holy One, blessed is He, and if you will carry out the judgment of the apostate town, it is if you bring a burnt offering before me, and it shall be a mound forever, it may not be rebuilt at all. It may not even be made into a garden or orchards. These are the words of Rabbi Yossi Agili. Rabbi Akiva says it may never be rebuilt. It may not be rebuilt to what it was, but it may be rebuilt into gardens and orchards. And nothing of the bad matter shall stick to your hand. For as long as the wicked are in the world, there is anger in the world. And when the wicked perish from the world, anger disappears from the world. There are the ones who are strangled, one who strikes his father or mother, one who kidnaps a Jew, an elder who rebels against the word of a court, a false prophet, and one who prophesies in the name of a false god, one who commits adultery, the Zomerman witnesses the daughter of a Kohen, and the man who cohabitated with her. One who strikes his father or mother is not liable unless he makes them bruise. This is the stringency of one who curses over one who strikes. One who curses his parents after their death is liable, and one who strikes them after their death is exempt. One who kidnaps a Jew is not liable unless he takes him into his possession. And Rabbi Yehuda says, unless he brings him into his possession and makes use of him, as it is stated, and he made use of him and sold him. If one kidnaps his son, the Rabbi Yisrael said, the son of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka renders him liable, but the sages exempt him. And if he kidnaps someone who was half slave and half free, Rabbi Yehuda renders him liable, but the sages exempt him. A sage who
That's it.
That's it. Okay, and we're on to Bas. Okay. All right. And we have Vav Dalet. If one says to another, I am selling you half the field, they divide the field between them quantitatively. And if he takes half his field, if he said, I am selling you its southern half, they divide the field between them quantitatively, and he takes equal to, and it takes equal to its southern half. He accepts upon himself the place for the fence, the wide ditch of the narrow ditch, and wide is a wide ditch, 6 tefachim, and the narrow ditch, 3 tefachim. There are those who inherit and those who bequeath. There are those who inherit but do not bequeath, who bequeath but do not inherit, and who neither inherit nor bequeath. These inherit and bequeath. The father, his sons, his father, and the brothers from the same father inherit and bequeath. A man, his mother, a man and his wife and sisters inherit but do not bequeath. A woman, her sons, and a woman, her husband, and the mother's brothers bequeath her but do not inherit. Brothers of the same mother neither inherit nor bequeath. The order of the inheritance is as follows. If a man should die and he has no son, he shall transfer the legacy to his daughter. A son takes precedence over a daughter, and all the descendants of a son take precedence over a daughter. A daughter takes precedence over brothers, and the descendants of a daughter takes precedence over brothers. Brothers take precedence over the father's brothers, and the descendants of brothers take precedence over the father's brothers. And this is the rule. Whoever takes precedence in the inheritance, his descendants take precedent, but the father takes precedence over all the descendants. Okay. That was it, I think.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, see.
Kiddushin.
Okay, Zion. If one betroths a woman and her daughter, or a woman and her sister simultaneously, they are not betrothed. It happened that there were 5 women, among whom were 2 sisters, and someone gathered a basket of figs which were theirs, and they were from Shemitah. And he said, "Oh, if all of you are betrothed to me with this basket," and one of them accepted it for all, and the sages said, "The sisters are not betrothed." If someone betroths with his portion, whether from the most holy offerings or offerings of the lesser holiness, she is not betrothed. In the second type, whether inadvertently or inattentionally, the Kedushin is not valid. And these are the words of Reb Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says that inadvertently, the Kedushin is not valid. If intentionally, it is valid. And with Hektish, if intentionally, the Kedushin is valid. If inadvertently, it is not valid. These are the words of Reb Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says inadvertently, it is valid, and intentionally, it is not. And one who betrothed or with Kalayim of a vineyard and with an ox which was condemned to be stoned, with a calf whose neck is to be broken, with the birds of a Mitzorah, with the heirs of a Nazarite, and the firstborn of a donkey with meat and milk over his pool and slaughtered in the courtyard who was not betrothed. If he sold them and betrothed with their payment, she is betrothed. If one
that's it.
There.
Gimel Ches.
A person may say to his friend, "Fill up this vessel for me, but not with a measure." Yehuda said, if it was measuring vessel, he may not fill it. If it happened that Abishol ben Batas filled his measures before Yontov and gave them to the customers on Yontov, Abishol said, even during Chol HaMoed he did so for the correction of the measures. If we come and say, even on weekdays he did so to drain the measures. A person may go to a shopkeeper whom is familiar and say to him, "Give me a number of eggs or nuts," but this is the mode of a private person to count off in his home. One who carries pitchers of wine from place to place will not carry them in a basket or a hamper, but he may carry them upon his shoulder or in front of himself. Similarly, one who transports straw may not lower the hamper on his back, but he may carry it in his hand. One may begin stacking a stack. One may begin using a stack of straw, but not wood, which is in the backyard. We may not detach wood from a hut except for what adjoins it. We may carry in wood from a field, which is gathered, but not from an enclosure, even what is scattered. What is considered an enclosure? Whichever is near to the town. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi says, whichever they must enter with a key, even when it is just within the boundary, Sabbath boundary. Okay, and we are on to Peah. We have Gimel Zion. If a mortally ill person assigns his property in writing and he left any land for whatsoever, his gift is valid. If he did not leave any land at all, his gift is not valid. If a person assigns his property in writing to his sons and he assigned it to his wife any plot of land, she has lost her ketubah. Rabbi Yossi says if she accepted, then even though he did not assign it to her, she was lost her ketubah. If a person assigns his property in writing to a slave, he goes out as a free man. If he left any amount of land, he does not go out a free man. Reb Shimon says he is always a free man unless he says, "Behold, all my property is given to the person so-and-so and my slave, except for the 1,000. The payah is given while attached to the soil. In the case of suspended vines and palm trees, the householder takes down the distributes to the poor. Reb Shimon says, so too in the case of smooth nut trees. Even if 99 say to distribute and 1 says to snatch, this one they heed, for he spoke according to the law.
Okay.
Last we have Kinem.
And Kinem.
Aleph. A bird katos is offered below the altar's red line, and an animal katos is offered above the red line. A bird ola is offered above the red line, and an animal ola is offered below the red line. If he deviated in this case, or in that case, the offer is valid. The order of pairs of bird offerings is as follows. In the pairs brought for an obligation, one bird is a katos and one bird is an ola. In pairs brought for vat offerings and donated offerings, they are all olas. What is a vat offering? One who says it is hereby incumbent upon me to bring an ola offering, and what is the donated offering? One who says the bird is hereby sanctified as an ola offering. What is the difference between vat offerings and donut offerings? Only that regarding the vat offerings. If they died or were stolen, he is responsible for replacing them. And regarding donated offerings, if they died or were stolen, he is not responsible for replacing them. A katos bird which mingled with a number of ola birds, or an ola bird which mingled with a number of katos birds, even if one such bird offering mingled with 10,000 bird offerings of the other type, they must all be left to die. And a katos bird which mingled with an obligatory pair of offerings, they are non-valid. They are non-valid other than the number of katos birds in the obligatory pair. And likewise, an ola bird which mingled with an obligatory pair of bird offerings, they are non-valid in the number of ola birds in the obligatory pair. And these rules apply whether the obligatory bird offerings are more numerous and the voluntary bird offerings are less numerous, or whether the voluntary offerings are more numerous and the obligatory bird offerings are less numerous, or whether they are both equal in number. Okay. That was it, right? Yeah.
There's one more actually.
Oh, right. That's the third. In one case, are these words said with obligatory offerings and bird offerings and voluntary offerings which are mingled together, but the obligatory pairs of bird offerings which mingle with each other. One pair for this woman, one pair for that woman, one pair for this woman, two pairs for that one, or three pairs for this woman, three pairs for that one. Half of the mingled birds are valid to be offered, and half of the birds are valid to be offered. If, however, there was one pair of obligatory bird offerings for this woman, with two such pairs for the woman, or three such pairs for that woman, or 10 such pairs for that woman, or 100 pairs for that woman, the amount of birds in the smallest group is valid. And that is the case. And what is the case of the two? No, that's it. Right, that's solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
okay. Cool.
Look to you. Thank you so much.
Okay,
All right,
I'm gonna run.
It was another paragraph, but that's okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, cheers.